Welcome to the St. Louis Blues and Philadelphia Flyers pre-game show.
Hey, this is Brayden Chen. Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, back at it again with another episode here for the Locked On Podcast Network and the most listened to podcast network, your team every day. On today's episode of Locked On Blues, you're in for a treat because the St. Louis Blues host the Philadelphia Flyers tonight for the first meeting between the two teams. And I am a credentialed media member who covers the Philadelphia Flyers. So this is what I call the Haley Bowl, where I have the two teams, the one team that I'm a fan of and the one team that I cover meeting. And it's always so exciting for me. So we're going to get right into things because this is a game where for the St. Louis Blues, you should be a little bit concerned. The Philadelphia Flyers, man, they've had quite a good start to the season. And while this Flyers team by any means isn't close to being a playoff team, in my opinion, they're still off to a hot start. I mean, their goaltending with Dan Vladar has been something that's been, I think, the biggest surprise because goaltending has always been an issue in Philadelphia. Unlike St. Louis, Philly, for whatever reason, could just never figure it out with the goaltending. So you have Dan Vladar. You also have Sam Ersson, who is healthy again. But you also have other additions to this team that you picked up from this offseason, like a Christian Dvorak. And yes, a Trevor Zegras, the big name Trevor Zegras. So this team has been just on a roll. What I will say, though, is, and this is the advantage that the Blues have. Now, this only kind of applies with Jordan Binnington, but they do have the better goaltending Tatum because, again, when you have a guy like Jordan Binnington, you're automatically going to be up there. And Joel Hofer, you know what? He made up for it. He had some redemption. And I still feel like there is a lot of potential with him, right? The season is still very young. But for the St. Louis Blues, they have to really play their A game tonight. And this, by any mean, is not going to be an easy game going up against Philadelphia. Now, this is my problem with the Flyers, and this is something that I have talked about so many times with what I do with Philadelphia. It's the regulation wins. I am all about, by the way, overtime wins, shootout wins. I think that at the end of the day, any way that you can find a way to get in the win column is something that a team should be proud of, right? My issue is the regulation wins, and that's where the Flyers only have 4. Now, if you were to say to me, Hale, why is that so much of a concern? Because I feel like if you can't win in regulation, maybe your team isn't as good as you say it is. Now, the Blues do have 6 regulation wins. So, no, I'm not coming on here to say the St. Louis Blues are better than the Philadelphia Flyers. That's not what I am saying. But what I am saying is that the Flyers have a tendency to allow their games to go extra minutes. And that is something that the Blues should capitalize on immediately and something that the Blues have an advantage in as to where they have found more ways to get regulation wins. Being said, I also think for the Blues and their big advantage over the Flyers, believe it or not, is offense. The way that Rick Tocchet coaches talkie hockey is a very interesting concept for this Philadelphia team that has a Matvei Michkov. He doesn't like jumping the ozone, right? So it's more a defensive kind of play. So for the Blues, they could take advantage of the fact that the Flyers are not going to have as many shots on goal. They're not going to be jumping the ozone, especially a guy like Matvei Michkov that is used to doing that. Tocchet doesn't allow him to do that. And covering that team, it is a sense of frustration because you're used to seeing a player, when he played in the KHL and then last season with Tortorella, being able to jump the ozone, right? Michkov is not a defensive type of player. He's not a two-way player by any means. So with this coaching style, that's where the disadvantage kind of comes in. Now, he did get a power play goal in the last contest, so Matvei Michkov is still somebody that the Blues should be concerned about. But you're not going to have the same battle that you did with the Flyers offense that you did last year just due to the different coaching style. Now, the disadvantage for the Blues, believe it or not, in my opinion, is the defense, because I still don't feel confident with this Blues defense. Philadelphia, while they still have some questionable players on defense like Igor Zamola, that's just the truth. The Blues have more questionable players on defense. I mean, it's been unsuccessful with Logan Mailloux. That's why he's back with Springfield in the AHL, where he honestly belongs, and he's not an NHL player, so I don't know. Well, at least not yet. So again, don't come at me. I'm just saying the truth. Have I seen much from Cam Fowler? No. Have I seen much from Philip Broberg? No. So again, I'm just telling you the truth that the St. Louis Blues struggle so much defensively that this is kind of a concerning situation when you are playing against a Philadelphia team that has a lot of good shooters like a Konechny, like a Tyson Forster, Noah Cates. So again, that is another thing to just kind of be aware of. Now, what I will say though is that I love that it's going to be Rick Tocchet versus Coach Jim Montgomery. I love it. I love good coaching matchups. For me, that's something that I personally always look forward to in different contests, just the different coaching styles. But the Blues, they still have a lot of figuring out to do. And it is interesting to me from a Philadelphia perspective, right? It is interesting to me that this team has struggled as much as they have, considering I feel like, I don't know, considering that I feel like they have more skills when it comes to goaltending, when it comes to their first couple lines, actually. I think they have a lot of young, good talent, but it will be very interesting. So we're going to continue to talk about so many things on today's show. It's a show that I am ecstatic for, but I also want to talk about home versus away records, right? Because for the Blues, this is what I find really interesting. So, St. Louis, we know that they have struggled a lot this season, and it's not been good home or away. They're 3-4-3 at home and 3-4-0 on the road. They're also 0-1 on the shootout this year. So again, not so good. For Philadelphia, on the other hand, they've actually been playing really well at home. They're 6-3-2 at home, 2-2-1 away, and they're 3-0, by the way, on the shootout. And that is so impressive. When it comes to the shootout, Philadelphia just turns it up a notch. I mean, you have Trevor Zegras that, I mean, again, his statistics speak for himself, is phenomenal on the shootout. So again, you have to make sure that you win in regulation just for the pure fact that this is a team that if you go to the shootout against, you probably will fall. Oh, by the way, another thing that I forgot to mention about this Philadelphia team is that just like the Blues, sometimes they give out last minute goals as well. That's what happened in the Edmonton game, and the two teams had to, battle it out. It's just, I have to tell you, Edmonton, and I think I can speak for both different teams right now. Edmonton is one of the most frustrating teams because it does feel like all the calls go their way. Now, we beat the Oilers, unlike the Flyers, so I'm just saying, Blues on top. But it is so frustrating when you're playing against a McDavid because I feel like the officials unintentionally always make the calls go Edmonton's way. And maybe I'm just a little bit petty, but that's how I at least view it. We're going to continue to talk about the game, talk about some lines and more predictions coming up. But first, I want to tell you about my friends at Monarch money. At Monarch, my bad. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth between 401ks, savings, and investments. It's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all in one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy to use interface on your laptop or your phone. I personally love the fact that it allows me to organize everything. When you have papers and then it gets all confusing and you don't know what's going on, you're not paying things, it's a mess. But with Monarch, it lets me keep everything organized and in control. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com. Code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. Tonight's contest. Obviously, it's the Haley Bowl. I'm excited about it. I am so pumped. You have no idea. It's also Louie's birthday tonight. So I know Gritty will be there, which, again, for me, when your worlds collide, you can run, but you can't hide. So the Haley Bowl, it's a couple hours away until puck drop, and we are getting you ready for tonight's contest between the St. Louis Blues and those Philadelphia Flyers. Now, again, Haley Bowl, ecstatic, let's go. But we need to talk about a couple more things like lines for tonight against Philadelphia because, again, we have a debut tonight. Oh, who will that be? Well, that is going to be Hunter Skinner making his NHL debut tonight. He will, yes, be doing the beloved rookie lap. And the defenseman, honestly, I feel like has worked so hard. And Coach Montgomery had to say he has poise with the puck, but he's hard too. He plays the game with physicality and emotion, which our team can use. Skinner said it's a dream come true, and I'm super excited for tonight. So that is going to be something that I am looking forward to. I love, for whatever reason, like I go on YouTube and I watch like the compilations of rookie laps, and it's something that I've always loved and enjoyed. So let me know how you feel about rookie laps. What's your sense on it? Do you get excited when you see a young guy take the ice in the NHL for the first time? I mean, how can you not? I also romanticize hockey, so let's talk about the lines tonight. On the first line, centering, guess who it is? It is Robert Thomas. To the left, it's the guy that hasn't done much this season. I need to be nice, but it's Bushi. And then to the right, it's Jimmy Snuggard. This is what we saw a lot in the beginning parts of the season. For the first couple games, we saw this combination. I have mixed feelings about it, honestly, and we'll get into that when I'm done giving you all the lines and pairs. But again, this is a line. We've seen it before. I have some thoughts about it. On the second line, as our 2C, it is Dvorsky. This line makes me happy because to the left, it's Dylan Holloway, and to the right, it's Ruzi Jordan Kyrou. Again, we'll talk about it, but that makes me happy. Third line, we have Pius Suter centering. To the left, it's Captain Braden Shen, and then to the right, it's Mojo. Finally, that fourth line, and probably the most fun line you will see on the ice, it is Oscar Sundqvist centering. To the left, it's Alexei Turchenko, and then to the right, it's the Aussie Nathan Walker. Finally, on defense, we have Philip Broberg, Colton Parayko, Cam Fowler, Justin Falk, Matthew Kessel, Hunter Skinner, and in the net tonight, it is Binner, the winner, Jordan Binnington. So that, for me, the defense part of it is good. I kind of like that with the third pair. It's Kessel and Skinner. I feel like that changes things up. I mean, that third pair throughout the season thus far, and I know it's still early on, it has struggled. Okay, it hasn't looked the best. So I am happy to get a new kind of combination in. And that's anytime you add a new face in. But I mean, this is the type of things that, you need that change sometimes. So this is the Philadelphia lines. And then I said, we'll go back and talk about the Blues. And this is brought, by the way, to Jackie Spiegel, who reports for the Inquirer. So the Philadelphia Inquirer. So she is there in St. Louis. So it is going to be, and this is not in an order, by the way, she states, but the line combinations are Coots. Oh, well, I guess I should say for you guys the full name. Sean Couturier centering, Michkov to the left, and Travis Konechny to the right. Then on the second line centering, it's Christian Dvorak with Owen Tippett to the left and Trevor Zegers to the right. On the third line, it's Noah Cates centering, Tyson Forrester to the left, and Bobby Brink to the right. Finally, on that fourth line, it's Abel centering Garnet Hathaway to the left, and then Nick Delorier to the right. And yes, Nick is the fighter of the team, the enforcer. Finally, for the defensive pairs, it's Cam York and Travis Sanheim, Nick Seeler and Jamie Drysdale, and then Emil Andre, and then Juleson. And Sam Ersson is going to be getting the start in net tonight. Again, that's Jackie Spiegel from the Philadelphia Inquirer with that news. But you know what I have to say, though? And like this might be something that is going to be like very, very niche and something that a lot of people may be like, Haley, this is so random. But Noah Juleson, honestly, has been pretty good this season. I mean, I know he's like 28 years old and stuff like that, but still, like he's been playing like he's a little bit younger in a sense. This is also the father's trip for the Flyers, so the dads will be there. So that's always cool for them. I'm telling you, it's always special when these two teams meet up because, again, it's the Haley Bowl and we have a lot of fun with it. But something, I'm telling you, like it's always good hockey and I'm always entertained by that. But going back really fast to some of the Blues lines, I personally think, and this might sound kind of crazy, and I would be curious about this, and you might be like, have you lost your mind? Hear me out. Robert Thomas centering, Braden Shen to the left, and Jimmy Snugger to the right. And then put Bushi on the third line. I know that sounds crazy, but I just feel like Bushi hasn't done it, right? He hasn't played up to the expectations that a lot of us had for him. And I know how people feel about Braden Shen, right? The former Philadelphia Flyer Braden Shen, if you want to make it Flyers related. But I feel like that could be a good combination. It's always weird for me to see Shenner playing on the wing. I'll say it how it is. I think it's odd. I don't like it, but I understand it and I respect it because right now you need to put out the best possible lines in the position that you're in as a team. Because for the Blues, if we're being totally honest about where they're at right now, it is not good. The Philadelphia Flyers, by the way, and we're going to break this down by division because obviously the two teams are in different divisions. They have 19 points, but they find themselves 6th right now in the Metropolitan. For the St. Louis Blues, by the way, they have 15 points and now they're back in last place in the Central. Yes, they're back in last place because the Predators were able to win. So not good. So when it comes to the Blues, if you're like, oh, where are the Blues at? Blah, blah, blah. We're the 3rd worst team in the NHL. Okay. Today, somebody said to me, oh, it's going to be a blowout game. I don't think so. Despite how the Blues have been playing, I still think it's going to be a pretty good contest. Like, it's not like the Flyers are, the best team in the NHL. I mean, we beat the Oilers, who are a very good team. But it is interesting to me, though, in that sense of putting it in perspective. And coming up, I'm going to give you some game predictions that I think are going to happen in tonight's contest. But before I do that, I want to talk to you about my friends over at DripDrop. When I'm hydrated, everything just works better. My focus, energy, mood, and even my skin. That's why I've been using DripDrop. It's a doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power no matter what my day looks like. DripDrop isn't your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading brands. Using a science-based backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top college and pro teams. I like using DripDrop, a part of my daily routine, because it comes in a packet. So I can take it with me wherever I go. So if I want to do it before work, in the kitchen at like 4 a.m., when I'm half awake, half asleep, I can do that. Or what I like to do is take it to work with me so I physically have it. So I just think at the end of the day, if you want to be hydrated and have energy, you need a little bit of Drip Drop in your life. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard and keep your body and mind performing at their best with Drip Drop. It's interesting tonight, especially because Sam Ersson is getting the start for Philadelphia while Binner is in net for the Blues. Because for Ersson, while yes, technically he is the starting goalie, he's really not. I mean, I feel like Dan Vladar is the starting goalie unofficially, right? It's kind of weird with Philadelphia right now with the whole goalie situation. But Ersson doesn't stay healthy usually all season, which is an issue, right? So not good. And Vladar has been playing lights out. But that is an advantage for the Blues, because the one thing about Sam Ersson is if you're not shooting the puck directly at him, you have a really good chance of the puck going in the net unless it is overtime or the shootout. Then he becomes lights out. It's a very odd thing. So again, if you're aiming for the 5 hole and he's not in perfect position, you can probably get the puck in net. Also, he's really good, by the way, at missing like deflections. That's another thing. So if you're the Flyers, you want to rebound. I mean, not the Flyers. If you're the Blues, you want to rebound and you want to make sure that you take full advantage of that. Now, if you're Philadelphia, you have a problem because Jordan Binnington, in my opinion, and I've said this once and I'll say it again, he's a top 10 goalie in the NHL. And I know a lot of people, they come at me, well, the Blues suck, Haley. Okay, shut up. First off, when it comes to Jordan Binnington, it's the skill set that he has. He won a Stanley Cup his rookie season, by the way. Oh, yeah, 4 Nations face-off projected starting goalie for Team Canada. I mean, Jordan Binnington is somebody who doesn't get the respect that he deserves. So while Philadelphia has a lot of good, scorers on the team, the problem is not necessarily the fact that they're not good players on the Flyers. It is the fact that with Rick Tocchet's style of hockey, the Flyers are not going to have many opportunities to even score by taking shots on goal. Plus, you have Jordan Binnington in net. So you have 2 things going against you on that one. I think the Blues are going to win this one. I do. I really have to tell you, Binnington is the key to success. If it was Joel Hofer in net tonight, I might have said something different. And I like Hofer, but Binnington's just a different breed. I'm going to give it I'm sensing a 4-2 Blues win. I don't know why that number came in my head. I see Robert Thomas scoring tonight. I see Jordan Kyrou scoring tonight. You know what? I see an Alexei Turchenko goal tonight. And I see a Philip Broberg goal. Those are the 4 goals that I see for the Blues. For the Flyers, I see a Noah Cates goal. And I see a Tyson Forster goal. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was like Konechny or Michkov. But those are the guys I see. I love making predictions because I feel like I'm usually kind of on the right trajectory sometimes. So for me, it is going to be such a fun game. I am so excited, mostly due to the fact that instead of having to watch 2 separate hockey games, I just can watch one and it covers both of my job and fandom. So I'm excited. You should be excited. Let's go Blues. And you know what? We are going to do this all again next week when the Blues come to Philadelphia and I get to talk to the guys on the team. Super excited for that. Super pumped up. Welcome to the Haley Bowl. If you want to follow on Twitter, you can follow me at Haley T. Simon, or you can follow me at Locked On Blues. It is the Haley Bowl tonight. The St. Louis Blues hosting the Philadelphia Flyers. Louis' birthday bash, by the way. Gritty will be there. I will be watching. And you know what we always say? Well, we usually do an Are We Feeling Blues segment. I'm pumped. That's what I'm going to say on that one. It will depend if they win tonight. We'll see. But like always, let's go Blues.